What's going on YouTube? West Hobbies RC. So we have part 3, the finishing of the T-Rex 760X. We will finish the helicopter in this video and get it ready for the maiden flight. We have the last thing we've been waiting on, which is the blade grips. They are here. Now we can redo the head, get the arms put on, get the new receiver put in, and power it up for the first time. It has not been powered up since the crash. We had the ESC mounted. I did that off camera, but that is done. I do have a time lapse of it, so I will throw it in the video right after this. And then we will go to the time lapse of doing the head and getting the new receiver mounted. So we're gonna cut to the time lapse now. Okay, so this is where we're at. We got the head all rebuilt, reassembled. Everything is Loctited and torqued down. We got the main blades on. We're going with the rail 766s this time. We have all the wires ran up through, ready for the receiver. So now it is time to put the new receiver in, which we got right here. Get that put in, get everything hooked up. I wanted to show you guys something real quick that I just discovered from a buddy of mine who uses this stuff right here. So get it on Amazon. It's like $4. It's a liquid fabric paint, but when it dries rubbery. So I don't know if you guys have ever used anything like E6000 or hot glue for gluing the servo pens. So a lot of the times I would put double-sided tape over there on them. And I did that on the 470 in the last video. I just don't like the look of the double-sided tape. So this stuff here goes on like paint. It has a really fine tip on it. Really fine tip. Gives you good control. And it goes on, glues plugs in place, and then it will peel right off when you need it. So it's just another option, something that I just discovered, and I really like it actually. I'm doing it to all my helicopters. But one thing I like too is these little pen connectors here for your satellite or your telemetry, whatever you use them for. They're notorious for breaking. The little wires will break if you bend them too much. What I like about that stuff is I'll go in and actually glue all this with that paint, and it'll give it a nice solid foundation, and it will stop the wires from breaking or pulling out. So just another afterthought. I'll also do it to this guy here, which is my battery telemetry. But now we're going to go ahead and cut to the time lapse of putting the receiver in, and then we'll do the first power up since the crash. Okay, so we got the receiver done. It is all mounted, all wired back up again. We have all the wires ran. The battery voltage is run up and through here around. We have the flight pack right there, 2-cell 2200 milliamps. So now we are going to power it on for the first time since the crash. We are going to bind this new receiver to my DX9, what I fly this helicopter with. So we're going to go ahead. We have the models selected, T-Rex 760. So let's go ahead and bind this thing up for the first time and see if it all works. So with this receiver, there's a bind button up here, so you can do it either way. So you have to try to hold, which I did not, which is kind of a pain. So you have to hold the power button, or you have to hold the bind button while plugging it in. Okay, we are binding. Let's go ahead and turn our radio off for a second. All right, let's go into bind mode. Let's see.
Binding. DSMX 11 milliseconds. Telemetry. Flight pack. No data. Flight pack. 0.0 volts.
Alright, so I got something backwards. I got rudder backwards.
Stunt 1. Normal mode.
Alright, so we got to figure that out. Alright, I screwed up. I mislabeled the wires when I took it apart. Alright, well, let's figure that out.
Flight pack 0.0 volts.
Okay, so we're back. We got the problem figured out where in the last clip you just seen I had the servos plugged in backwards and the head wasn't working, but we got that taken care of now. We have positive pitch, negative pitch, left, right, back, forward. Everything is working like it should, but there is a problem. So as you can see, I have the tail servo out right here. And if you can notice, it does nothing. Cyclic and tail servo does nothing. It is completely dead. I can rotate it by hand. There is no power going to the servo whatsoever. It is dead. So we had to buy a tail servo. Unfortunately, I'm filming this video about a week and a half after the last part you just seen because I was waiting on a tail servo. I said in the beginning of this video that this is going to be the third part and the final part of the 760 rebuild. I don't want to drag this out too long, so I figured I would just wait on putting this video out until I got the servo. I did some research, and they do sell the board, which is what I think failed in this servo. Not 100% sure, but they do sell the board. So what I ended up going with, got on the forums, got on Facebook, asked a couple people, and I ended up going with an Expert R2T tail servo, brushless digital servo. It was the exact same price as the Align 825 tail servo, but twice the torque. A little slower, so this servo is a 0.04 speed, I think it is. Let's see if we can see. It won't focus, but speed is 0.04 at 8.4 volts and 205 ounces of torque at 8.4 volts. So we ended up going with this servo. It does have detachable servo lead, which is really nice. It does come with two separate servo lead lengths inside of here. And the wire is black, of course. It is all CNC aluminum casing. Really nice build servo. I really wish this camera would focus. I'm working on a better camera, guys, but I wish this camera would show the absolute beauty of this servo. And don't get me wrong, the Align 825 is a super nice servo as well. But there was a couple people that said they've had them fail prior. Now, with that being said, I will rewatch the crash video multiple times. And I'm not going to blame servo failure for the crash. I still am going to blame myself as pilot error. But I did watch it, slow it down, and you can see the tail drop out in the Piro. A couple people asked me that day if I lost my tail, and I said no. But I know for a fact that I was feeding input and it did not respond. So that might be what caused the crash, is that tail servo dying. Because it is completely dead. And I did have some problems prior. When I first set the helicopter up, I did purchase this helicopter used, so I don't know the history of what the servo hertz and frequency was run at. But beside the point, we got a new tail servo. We're going to get that thrown in here, get a time lapse set up, get the servo thrown in. We have to go into the icon and readjust rudder limits and all that good stuff. But it is almost done. We'll throw the tail servo in and it will be completely finished up. One other thing I wanted to show you guys real quick was the carbon fiber tail fin is no longer broken. I was able to fix it, glued both sides back together, so now it is just as strong. Perfect, saved me about 25 bucks. Looks good. So I'm very happy. But we're gonna go ahead and jump to the time lapse, get this tail servo thrown in there. We are going to go into the icon, brain 2, set everything up, get the tail servo hertz and frequency and all that stuff and endpoint set up properly. And then the 760 will be finished. Okay, the T-Rex 760X is done. It is finally finished after parts waiting for weeks and problems with the tail servo and installing the new tail servo and rerunning everything and all the frustration, the screws, everything being torn apart. It is completely finished and ready to fly. As you can see, the radio, as you can hear, the radio is on. So we will go ahead and show we have cyclic working properly. We have collective. We are running 14 degrees of positive and negative pitch. We have everything wired back up, brand new receiver, everything secured like it was. The Castle 160 is back in its spot. The Brain 2 is working. Everything is nice and perfect. Loctited, triple checked. Tail is done. All new input point set. Let's turn this radio down so it doesn't yell at us the whole time we are doing this. Okay, we'll show the tail servo is in and working. That is the expert tail servo. We have our end point set. So the next video will be the flight video, and we won't be doing nothing crazy or special for the maiden flight. It'll just be a simple hover and sport flying. Make sure everything is tight, make sure everything is good. I'm gonna check again before I fly. But as you can see, we have the Rail 766 main blades. Very beautiful set of blades. We are 2S LiPo. We have a Roaring Top 2200, which is what was in it before. We're going to fly on the same HRB 6S 6000s for 12S. It's going to be the exact same setup as it was before. The only difference is the main blades are rails, and the original blades before the crash were Align 760s. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the delay on this rebuild part 3, but it is finished and we are ready to fly. Take care and have a great day.